from West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Support for the following is provided by the West Virginia Department of Education and West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Hey! Hey everyone, it's Education Station!
Hi, and welcome back to Education Station. I'm your host, Alex Milanese. Education Station is a show where we invite teachers from all across West Virginia to submit videos of themselves teaching their favorite lessons. In today's episode, we're getting 3 exciting lessons from the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center. Now, depending on how old you are, you may or may not have heard of Career and Technical Centers. Basically, when you get to high school, you have the option to take some of your classes at your local Career and Technical Center. And while you're there, you get to learn how to do all kinds of awesome stuff. So you might want to learn how to become a professional chef or a nurse. You could train to become a carpenter or even a welder. There are so many options with career and technical education that really the sky's the limit. So with that in mind, our first stop is going to be with Mrs. Milanese, who has a fun and wacky engineering challenge for us. Let's check it out.
Hi guys, my name is Mrs. Milanese, and I'm a substitute teacher and former engineering teacher at the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center. Now I just said that I was the engineering teacher. Do you know what an engineer does? Well, an engineer solves problems using math and science. There are many types of engineers. So for instance, a civil engineer might design a bridge that would allow us to drive our cars over a waterway. An electrical engineer might design the software for a new computer or gaming system. A mechanical engineer might develop a new robotic arm to allow us to manufacture cars or goods more efficiently. So as you can see, engineers are people who invent or design things to help us solve our problems. So let me ask you this. If you're thinking like an engineer, we try to think about solving our problems in the most efficient manner. Now, what do I mean by efficient? Well, efficient just means kind of the easiest or even the least amount of work or steps. So here's your problem that I want you to solve. I have this cup and this ball. I want you to put this ball in this cup in the most efficient manner possible. Well, you would just drop the ball into the cup. That was really efficient, but it wasn't very fun. My favorite engineer would have done this in the craziest, wackiest way. Let's check it out. Now that is a crazier way to get a ball in a cup. So while that was a lot of fun, that device was called a Rube Goldberg machine. And Rube Goldberg is the name of the engineer that happens to be my favorite. Now, he was an engineer, but he also loved to doodle. He liked to take really simple tasks and make them super complicated and kind of wacky. So let's take a look at one of his cartoons. In this cartoon, Rube Goldberg is going to put toothpaste onto a toothbrush, which is a really simple task, but he's going to do it in a really complex way. So the very first thing he does is he has the person to pull a linchpin. The pin then releases a spring that then hits a ball. Shooting the ball up out of the funnel, it then goes down a ramp and hits a teeter-totter at the end. The teeter-totter has a string attached to the end of it, and when it's pulled, it releases a mousetrap, which then hits the ball that goes up and creates a motion in a Newton's cradle that knocks over the dominoes, which sets off another mousetrap that pulls the string that's attached to this lever That lever has another string attached to it, which is on the perch that the bird is sitting on. The bird then gets scared and flies away, and it releases a pin when it does that was attached to its foot. That pin was holding a string in place, which is it runs through these pulleys. It hits a rock or allows a rock to be released on top of his head, smashing the toothpaste container and putting toothpaste onto his toothbrush. Now that was a crazy way to do it, right? Most engineers, again, like to think efficiently. They're just like everyone else. We like to do work in kind of the easiest, maybe even the laziest way. We have devices all over our homes that allow us to do work more efficiently. These devices are called simple machines, and there are 6 of them, and I'd like to show you some examples of those today. So let's say, for instance, you're playing on the playground on this piece of equipment. Now when you get up to the top and you're ready to come down, there's several ways to get down. You could climb back down the way you came, you could jump off if it's safe, or you can do the fun thing and go down the slicky slide. Now the slide is a type of ramp, which is actually one of the types of our simple machines. A ramp is also called an inclined plane. Another one would be a wheelbarrow. Now the thing that's attached on the bottom of the wheelbarrow, in fact, is a wheel and axle. That's what allows us to move rocks and tree limbs around our yard with a lot more ease. Speaking of a wheelbarrow is a type of lever, which is a third type of simple machine. A lever is basically a rigid bar that's attached to a pivoting point, so think like a teeter-totter. If I sit down on one end, I can lift things on the other side. Makes it a lot easier to lift my friends, even if they weigh more than I do. The fourth type of simple machine is a pulley. The pulleys are great when you need to lift something heavy. It allows me to pull on a rope so I can use my body weight and I can use gravity and lift an object on the other side. If I attach more than one pulley, it actually makes the object lighter for me to pull down. I have 2 more simple machines. The first one you can find all over your house. It's a screw. The screw allows us to hold things together. This table, in fact, that I'm sitting at is held together by a bunch of screws. The opposite of a screw would be to wedge things apart, which is our last type of simple machine, a wedge. We use wedges in things like axes or even scissors to split wood or paper. So those are the 6 types of simple machines. I want to go back to my really cool Rube Goldberg and identify where I used those 6 simple machines. So the very first simple machine that I used was a wedge. The scissors that I used to cut the string is a wedge. There was a pulley attached to the brick. When that was released, it then went on, the string moved along some screws. So the screws weren't operating as a screw, but they were there. The next was an inclined plane. The duct tape rolled down the ramp. And then, probably my favorite part, was when the can was catapulted, it was attached to a teeter-totter or a lever. And then we saw Woody roll down the ramp in his truck, and the truck rolls on wheels and axles. So I included all 6 of the simple machines in my design. In fact, there were even more examples in there. So here's my challenge to you. I want you to build a Rube Goldberg, and I want you to solve the same problem that I did. I want you to put a ball into a container. Now you can use a small ball in a cup like I did. You could use a basketball in a bucket if you want to. You can be totally creative, but at the end of yours, I want there to be a ball going into a container. Now, why would I want you to do that? Well, one, it's fun. But the other reason is because I want you to start thinking like an engineer. What resources do you have available to you in order to solve this problem? Also, I must warn you, engineers have to be very patient and push through to persevere. So you may have to troubleshoot this. It's going to take some patience, but stick in there because when it works, it's awesome. Now last, we want to see all of your beautiful designs. So we're going to ask, with your parents' permission, that you would record a video of your Rube Goldberg and that you would post it to Instagram using the hashtag WVRube. That's hashtag WVRUBE. All right, guys, get to work. We can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thanks, Mrs. Milanese. Now, to those of you at home, remember, we can't wait to see the awesome Rube Goldberg machines that you come up with. So don't forget, get a parent involved, maybe even have them help you build it. And when you're done, post a video of it to Instagram using the hashtag WVRube. That way we can all see the cool inventions that you come up with. All right, well, next up, I hope you have your dancing shoes ready, because we're gonna visit Mrs. Kessler, who has an upbeat lesson on the human heart. Let's check it out.
Hi kids, my name is Mrs. Kessler and I'm a nursing teacher from the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center in Craigsville, West Virginia. Today I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about your heart and what your heart does for you and how it works and what it does for your body and how we can work to keep your heart healthy. And I'm going to teach you a way that you can measure your heart to see if you're healthy and to see if the exercise that you're doing is beneficial to your heart. So let's look at this drawing on the board for just a second. This is actually what your heart looks like. Do you know where your heart is in your body? Can you show me? Point with one finger to where your heart is. All right, very good. Your heart's about right here in your chest. Do you know how big your heart is? Make a fist with your hand. Now put your fist right there where you showed me where your heart was. That's about the size of your heart in your body. So as you grow, your heart grows a little bit with you, and as your hand grows, your fist grows. That's a good way to remember what size your heart is. So this heart that I have up here on the board is a little bit bigger than what your heart really is like in your body. But if you look at it, all of this is the heart, so this will be the size of your fist in your body, and all of this up here are arteries that go out to your body and help keep us healthy. Now, do you know what passes through your heart? Blood. What does blood carry? Nutrients that your body needs to stay healthy and to have energy. But blood also carries oxygen to every part of your body. And it's really important that we have enough blood passing through our heart to make sure we have enough oxygen so that we're able to catch our breath and stay healthy. So this is what happens in your heart, okay? Blood starts here. It gets pumped out. It goes out to your body. It's got oxygen in it. It goes all over your body, to your arms, to your fingers, to your toes, everywhere. It goes out, it circles the body, it comes back around, it passes back through the lungs, and then it comes back into the heart and it gets ready to go for another cycle, okay? So you can kind of think about that blood as if it's a train going through the different stations. The train leaves the station, it goes out and goes through the arteries, through the veins, through the body. Every place it stops, it drops off some oxygen, some nutrients. It comes back through to the lungs at a major station where it picks its oxygen back up, just like it would refuel. And then it goes back out through the body and does it all over again. So here's what we're going to do today. I want to teach you how to measure your pulse. And your pulse is just another word for your heartbeat. You can actually feel your heartbeat in lots of different places in your body. Some of those places include the side of your neck, your wrist, the bend in your arm, sometimes behind your knee, or even on the top of your foot. You can listen to your heart with a stethoscope, which I know most of you probably don't have at home. So instead of listening, we're going to feel it to see how many times every minute it beats. So what's it feel like? It feels just like a beat. Think about squeezing your fist. Boom, boom, boom. That's kind of the rhythm that it has and what it's going to feel like in your arm when you feel it. I know if you run a lot or maybe if you dance and you can kind of feel your heartbeat in your chest, that's exactly what we're going to look for today when we check your pulse in your wrist. So how do we count our pulse? You just count every time that it beats. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your hand, and I always like to kind of tuck my thumb in onto my palm, come straight down from my thumb in this little groove on the side of your hand, on the side of your wrist, and put two fingers, your pointer finger and your next finger, right there in that little groove. And just be real still for just a minute and see if you can feel that beat. It should feel like boom, boom, boom. That's your pulse. That's exactly what we're looking for, okay? So you're going to want to count your pulse ideally for 60 seconds because that's how we measure pulse rate as nurses. We count the number of beats in every minute. But if you're a little short on time or don't want to sit still for a minute, because I know lots of you probably don't want to sit still for that long, we can count it for just 30 seconds and then double that number, and I'll show you how to do that in just a few minutes. So go ahead and find your pulse right now. Two fingers, remember, right down from your thumb on the inside of your wrist until you can feel that little beat. Don't push too hard though, because if you push too hard, you'll stop that blood flow and you won't feel anything beat. So just lightly lay your fingers, again, right down from your thumb on your wrist until you can find that pulse. Got it? Okay, we're going to take a 30-second break, and as soon as you see the timer come up on the screen, I want you to start counting, and you count until that timer goes off. Then when it comes back to me, we're going to talk about pulse for just a few more minutes. All right, kids, welcome back. Did you find your pulse? Did you get that number? All right, very good. So here's what we're going to do. A kid's normal pulse rate, somebody between the ages of, say, 5 and 10, 5 and 11, should be about 100 beats per minute. So what number did you get? Let's say that your number was 45. Now remember, we have to count for a full minute. So instead, you counted for 30 seconds. So what you need to do to get your full minute's worth of beats, because 30 seconds is half of a minute, is to just double this number or add it to itself. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Put your 0 down, carry your 1. 4 plus 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Your heart rate or your pulse would have been 90 beats per minute, okay? So now here's what we want you to do. That's great, and that's your resting heart rate while you're sitting, watching TV, reading a book, not doing a whole lot, doing your homework maybe. But what we need you to do is have some really active activities for about 30 minutes a day is what the doctor recommends to keep your body and your heart really healthy. So for the next little while, we're going to have a dance party, and we're going to start some music, and I want you to just dance and show me all your really awesome moves. Really, get down, get into it, get your heart rate up, and let's see what your heart increases to. And that's going to be called your active heart rate. And we want to see your heart rate go up some, not past 200 though. We want to see it go up to about 135 to 150. And that means that your body's really working and your heart's really healthy and you're moving lots of extra oxygen and nutrients through your body, okay? So get ready, we're going to dance. Ready, set, go! Guys, welcome back. Those were awesome dance moves. Now, real quick again, bend your little thumb in on your palm, use your 2 fingers to find your pulse. We're going to cut right back to a 30-second timer. We're going to check your pulse one more time to see what your active heart rate is. Remember, it should have gone up because you did all that dancing to get your heart beating and your oxygen moving. So here we go. I'm going to put another timer up. When that timer starts, you start counting. Here we go. All right, did you get it? Did you find your pulse? What was your reading this time? Now remember, that was only for 30 seconds, so you've got to double it again. Did you hit our target? Somewhere between 125, 130? Take just a second and figure out what your 1 minute active pulse rate would be. All right, very good. Now here's what I want you to remember. Be active. Always be active, always try to get your heart rate up. You can do it, it doesn't have to be dancing. You can jump rope, you can go up and down the steps, you can run, you can play basketball, but check your resting heart rate and then check what your active heart rate is afterwards and make sure that you're doing enough activity to stay strong and stay healthy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mrs. Kessler. Okay, we're going to round out our trip to the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center with a stop-in with Mr. Bailey, who has a fun art lesson for us. So, grab your pencil and paper, and let's get started.
Hey guys, I'm Mr. Bailey from the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center, and I'm really excited to do a piece of art with you guys today. We're going to do what's called Optical Illusion Art, and it's super simple. So I've already got my stuff laid out here. All you're going to need is a piece of paper. I've got a marker. You can start with a pencil if you want and then go over it with a marker, but I'm just going to start with a marker. And then I've got a couple crayons, just a couple colors that I like, and then a ruler or something that you can draw a straight edge with. So the first thing we're going to do to get started is get our piece of paper and just draw a dot right in the middle of the paper. And then we're going to get our straight edge, and from that dot I'm going to make a cone. So I'm going to go at an angle up that way, and I'm going to turn from the same dot and make one that direction. So now I've got a cone on my piece of paper. And I'm going to do another one off to the side here a little bit. So I'm going to go there and up to the corner of the paper. So now you can see I've got two cones here. And then I'm going to go down to this side of the paper and make another one. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, but it kind of looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there so far. And then one more down here. And we'll do 2 more. So one on this side. And then I'll do one up here. Now, as you can see, all of my cones aren't exactly the same size, and that's totally okay. So then I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to start on any of them that I want, and I'm just going to do a few curved lines. So I'm going to make like an upside down U in the middle of this one. I'm just going to do a few of them. And on the next one over, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make a U shape. So I'm going to go the opposite direction. And I'll do a little one up here at the top. And I'm just going to go all the way around and do that on every one of these, just alternating each time I go. And I'm going to go kind of quick. You guys will want to take more time when you do this at your house so your final product will look better than what mine's going to look. But to save some time, I'm going to move a little bit fast when I'm doing this. So I'm just alternating the way that I'm making my lines. So when you're finished with that, you should have something that looks similar to this. So as you can see, you can kind of see those original cones that we drew look different than the others because all the things are going different directions on each one. I mean, that's kind of a cool look. Now, if you did that with a pencil, you can go back over it with a marker now, or you can wait till the end and go over it with a marker later. So now the only thing left to do is really color this to make it look really neat. So I'm going to start off with my orange. And I'm going to pick a cone, and I'm going to color the bottom corner of that cone. And now every cone that looks like that one, I'm going to do that same bottom part of the cone. So I'm just going to go all the way around and color every other one in. So then I have something that looks like that. And then I'm going to go up those cones and color every other one. So I'm going to come here and color that one. Then I'm going to come find this orange one. I'm going to go up, skip one, and go up to the next one. And you can do this with colored pencils or crayons or whatever you would like to color with. So we're going to color that, and then we're going to turn our paper and move on to the next one. We're just going to continue that all the way around with our orange. And like I said, I'm doing this fast just to save some time. So I hope that you'll take more time when you're doing it to make these look really, really nice and neat. Okay, so now we got our orange ones finished. So as you can see, I've got every other one, every other cone, and then every other one on that cone. And then just for a little bit of shading effect, I'm going to go down on those same orange cones, and just on the edge of the white area, I'm just going to put a wee little bit of orange. Just because I think that gives it a nice little bit of shading that kind of makes it look like it's a little bit more round like we're going for. So just real quick, just a real light orange on the white on those orange cones. All right, so we got our orange ones all finished up. Now I'm just going to grab my other color. So I chose to use blue. You can use whatever you want. And then we're going to go to the ones that weren't orange. And we're going to go to the very first one and spin. And just color the bottom of each one blue, or whatever color you decided to use. And then we're going to go do all of the opposite ones on those cones. And you can do this with a lot of different lines, so you have a lot more coloring and a lot more swirls in it, or you can do it with just a few like I did. There's a lot of different effects you can get depending on how long you want to set and draw and color. So there, I've got all of my blue ones finished, and now I'm going to go back in and just do my little bit of blue shading on my white areas there. And if you wanted to not leave these white, you could always pick another color and color right in where my white is. But I think it looks really, really cool having it white like that with a little bit of shading on the side. And there we go. So when we're all finished, we have an optical illusion drawing that looks like it's got the cones all rounded and kind of all going into the middle there. Using that, it's called 1-point perspective, using that dot in the middle. Everything kind of goes into that. I think it's a really cool piece of art that you can do at home with just a little bit of material and a little bit of time. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good day.
Thanks, Mr. Bailey. All right, well, that wraps up everything for us here today on Education Station. We want to thank all the teachers from the Nicholas County Career and Technical Center who submitted their awesome lessons. And we want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Education Station.